Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're trying some new Catrice products, which are usually very cheap at the drugstore. They're not quite as cheap as Essence, I discovered when I bought these products, but they are still very cheap. And recently I've been discovering some real gems from Catrice. So I've discovered this highlighter, which was recommended by Teresa is Dead. And I loved it, and the bronzer I picked up recently was also very good. I also like the blush I tried recently, so I thought I wanted to try some new things, and they did come out with a couple of new things. So they have this one-step skin perfector, and I'm just not sure what this is. I mean, it was in the primer department of the drugstore, but it says it covers, or it perfects and hydrates the skin. A skin perfector with vitamin C and sun protection. Give individual light coverage, but there's only one shade. So my guess is that this is more of a tinted primer than an actual foundation. So I was also curious about their True Skin Foundation. I don't think this is new, but I wanted to give that a try. So we're just going to try them both. If this one offers a lot of coverage, then I'll just keep it at that and make a separate video. But my guess is that we're gonna need to try both. I have the concealer, I have the powder. The powder is new. True Skin powder. Looked like a bit of a radiant powder, so I thought that would be nice. I have a new mascara and a new Water Fresh lip tint, which the name kind of reminds me of the Water Fresh tint from Chanel, which is a foundation. But this is a lip product, and I don't know, we're gonna see how this works. Let's just do a full face of Catrice, and then I'll tell you what I think is worth it at the end of the video. Before we start, if you're new here, I'm so happy you found me. I'm relatively new on YouTube, and I'm trying to grow my YouTube page, of course, and share a lot of content. I post every Tuesday, Friday and Sunday, mostly makeup but sometimes art videos. And I would love it if you'd consider subscribing to my channel, and well, otherwise it's also fine, but I thought I'd ask. So let's get into it. I want to start with this eyeshadow palette, which was also marked as new. But I have my doubts. I feel like I've seen this one earlier also. But this is the Lavender Breeze palette, and it's actually about 10 euros, so it's not even that cheap. I think Essence palettes are more like 5 or 6. So I hope it's good. And I like this color story. It reminds me a little bit of the Norvina palette. It has these purples and then a little bit of earth tones, but it goes very light and very deep, and it has some interesting shapes. Shades, I mean. So I thought we could give this a try, and I have no idea how much fallout I'm going to get with this. So I don't have an eye primer from Catrice, but I do have one from Essence, so I'm just going to use that. So what are we going to do? I really want to use this shade, Dazzling, which is a grey and a lilac. And I just want to see how those two combine. And then I think I'll use Deep, which is of course the deepest shade. Yes, I'll make it a nice and purple look. I'll zoom you in a little bit. I'm going to start with the color Lover, which is the lilac shade, the matte. And I'm just going to put that as a transition shade a little bit above my crease. You can hardly see it on camera. And of course this is a very light shade, but it is a little bit dusty. And the primer I used is actually a little bit more tacky, so that shouldn't have been an issue. I have a feeling that if you're a bit darker than me, and I am very pale, that this will not show up on you. I mean, I'm not expecting any miracles here. It's still a very cheap palette, but I don't know. I guess I was hoping a little bit more pigment. Alright, so now there isn't actually a middle toned, medium intensity purple in this palette. So I'm just going into Deep. I'm going in with my pencil brush from Too Faced. Let's see. this is more purple toned than I thought. I thought it was more of a dark brown, but it's an actual aubergine. And it blends out nicely. No patchiness. And it doesn't blend away either. Though it does lose a little bit of its intensity when you blend it out. So I'm really trying to get this color to show up as dark as possible. And it does build, but the moment you blend it out, it loses some of its intensity. So this is about the 5th time I'm going in. I'm just not going to touch it as much. I'm just going to lay it down first. And that does seem to help. So I don't know if you can see it on camera, but when I move my brush too heavily, I can actually see the powder particles flying up. And the ones that fly up don't stick to the lid. Alright, I think this is about as intense as I can get it. Let me correct the shape. Now I'm going in with my original brush and the color Lover. And I'm going to blend out the edges a little bit. It's kind of weird. See, it doesn't completely blend into each other, even though half of the color has disappeared. I'm going to try to blend it with my pencil brush. Okay, yeah, so it does blend when you use a little bit of a stiffer brush. Then it's fine. So that's it for the base. And I don't hate it, but I did have to work for it quite a bit. Now I want to see how this works with a brush. So I'm going to use my flat shader brush and I'm going into the color Lilac first, which is this one, and then I'm going into this one, which is called Dazzling. Okay, this is not going to work. I'm going to use my finger. That's a lot better. This is actually a nice and creamy shadow. Little bit of fallout, but that's to be expected. So it's not completely opaque, but it does blend. Now I'm going into Dazzling, which this is the color it becomes when you mix them up. And I'm going to put that in the inner half. Oh, I like this one. So this is what I've got so far. And I'm not overly impressed, but I guess it's not as bad as I thought. The shades are actually purple, so that's nice. It's not like a mauve, it's an actual purple. The shimmers are kind of nice. I'm thinking with a glitter glue or a wet brush, these would really sparkle. So we're going to finish that up later. Alright, now it's time to go into our mystery product, which is the One Step Skin Perfector. Care Primer, Soft Tint SPF 20. Let's see. Okay, so it comes out white. You can see little gray specks in it. Kind of looks like sunscreen. Let's see what happens when we blend it out. Well, this is what it does. Feels like a sunscreen. Feels sticky like a sunscreen. It's glowy like a sunscreen. Let's see what happens when we build it up just a little bit on this side. So it doesn't leave a white cast. So in that aspect, the tint is true. maybe darkened my skin a little bit here. And here I didn't blend it well. You can definitely see that there's a line here, which I usually get with foundations that are a little bit too dark. So there is a slight tint to this. It is very glowy, but I wouldn't call this a skin perfector necessarily. I think it really is just a tinted primer. It's tinted a little bit so it mixes into your skin, but it doesn't really adjust because it is a little bit too dark for me. So that's no problem. We do have this foundation, which is the True Skin Hydrating Foundation Hyaluronic Acid Longwear. I have it in the shade 004 Porcelain Neutral. Comes with a pump. This is, by the way, a glass bottle. It's quite heavy. Packaging is really nice. This was only like €7, but I like it. Now I'm very curious about this shade. I think it's going to work. If it's actually as light as this, it's going to work. Ooh, it's liquidy. I don't know, this seems like it's going to be too dark. I'm going to do half my face first. It does have a bit of a smell and it is a little bit too dark for me, but it's okay. I can work with this. This was the lightest shade they had, and I'm not sure if it's the entire range, but at my local drugstore they had like 3 or 4 shades and they were all this one or just a little bit darker than this one. So that was a little disappointing, but it could be just because I live in the Netherlands and most people are just a little bit lighter. Still not very inclusive, I think. So this is what it looks like. And this is a foundation. I mean, now that I compare these sides, this definitely didn't do much. If anything, it made my discoloration worse. Maybe that's why it's so dark here. Well, I really don't care for this, the way this looks. This I can live with. It's very glowy still, but it could be because of the primer. I don't think it's going to set down. It does have the hyaluronic acid, so it could be that it dries down a little bit more, or it could be that it becomes a little bit more moist. Could go either way with me. I have pretty normal skin at the moment, so it all just depends. I gotta say I'm impressed. If you didn't see this side, it would look kind of skin-like. I'm going to do the other half of my face now. Oh, it oxidizes. Look, that's the old part and that's the new part. Oh, that's a shame. I really don't care for this smell. Also smells a little bit like sunscreen, I think. Or like cheap day cream, like moisturizer. So that went on quickly, but I feel like you don't want to fuss with it too much after that. So I went over it on my forehead again. And I don't know if you can see, but it created kind of little holes here. So it started to dry down and then I dragged it and then it didn't become any prettier. I think this is one you just have to put on quickly and then leave alone. So I also bought the Liquid Camouflage High Coverage Concealer, which is supposed to be non-transfer and waterproof. So I think this also sets down. That's what it should do, at least, if it's transfer proof. And this is also the lightest shade, which is Fair Ivory. And looks like it's actually light enough. Not a ton of coverage right away. I just used my regular amount. I feel like this is going to blend away quite a bit. It's actually a little see-through here. Maybe I'm spoiled. The Pat McGrath concealer is so high coverage that if you put down half of this, it covers 4 times as much. So this is a nice and thin concealer. So it works very well on top of foundation to highlight, like I'm doing in the center points of my face. But I don't really love it underneath my eyes. This really doesn't feel that much like a concealer. It feels more like a touche éclat kind of thing. Like a brightener. It doesn't really feel like a concealer. I mean, it doesn't look bad. But it left a little bit of gray right here, which is also because the color is lighter. But usually when the color is lighter, it just covers everything up and makes it look more, well, more light. But now it's looking a little bit gray because it's not completely covering everything. And it did not dry down. I touched it right there and you can see the mark I left. So I feel like this one you also have to apply quickly, blend out, and then just leave alone. So I think the other new product I have is the True Skin Mineral Loose Powder. This also has hyaluronic acid in it. It's supposed to be transparent and matte. There was only one shade. I don't know, I don't really care for all these products with hyaluronic acid in it. If I want my skin moisturized, I'll just use a lot of moisturizer. I don't feel it does a lot of things for me. So it has this system where you have to twist it to open it. So I'm just going to put some in the cap, and I'm going to start with setting the concealer using this little Real Techniques brush. I'm putting about this much. So it's definitely mattifying, and it's pretty finely milled, I think. Half of it blew away, so dusted away, I mean. I think it did darken my under eyes a little bit. So this would be more of a face powder for me. When I apply it, it's actually little bit lighter. It's like it becomes darker as soon as you apply it. Like it oxidizes. Can powder oxidize? Yeah, definitely very fine. And I don't like this smell. It's sort of like baby powder. And how it looks, I like it over the pores and over the regular skin. I think it looks a little bit drying and a little bit textured underneath my eyes. So again, definitely more of a face powder. See how it immediately creased? Right here. I don't usually get a lot of creasing. So it could be the powder, it could be the concealer, of course. Yeah, I don't hate this, but look how flat my face looks now. I tried to... This is actually very dark, because all 3 products were too dark for me, even though 2 were supposed to be translucent. I think if you're very dark, that's going to be a problem. And for me, I think it's actually also a problem, because I did this highlighting and it's all gone, and I have these dark patches here now. Look how dark the foundation got on my hand. And this is the lightest shade. Now let's finish up the rest of the eyes. Maybe we can make this work. I'm going into the Pro palette again. And I want to... What do we want to do? I think I'm just going to use the color Lilac on my pencil brush. And I'm going to put this underneath my eyes. Oh, that looks okay. I'm going to blend it out using a little bit of Honest. which is the cream shade. By the way, did we need all these 3 cream shades? I don't think so. And now I want to take the color Cotton, which is the shimmery white, and I'm going to put that in the inner corner. It looks okay. I'm going to take a little bit of Honest and I'm putting it right underneath my brows to lighten a little bit. So I don't hate the way this looks. It does take a little bit of time. I guess it's a little bit grey. That's what I found with most of these products, that they were sort of not the color they were seeming to be. I guess that's my main issue with today's makeup. Oh, I was really rooting for all this stuff. I do have this new mascara, which is the Volume and Lift Mascara, Lift Up. I have the waterproof one. And I do love this color packaging. I haven't tried a new mascara in a long time. This is what the wand looks like. It's very long with tiny little hairs on it. I think it's plastic. So this is what one quick coat looks like. It's actually not bad. Phew! And it applies very quickly and very evenly. Also works very well on the lower lash line. I'm going to apply a second coat. Oh god, it got clumpy real fast. Okay, this is what the mascara looks like. It's very volumizing. It's actually the most volumizing mascara I've ever used. It's not extremely lengthening, but enough. And according to the name, it should have lift up my lashes, and I think it did. It sort of stuck them together in an upward position. I really like it on the lower lashes. Alright, not bad. I'm going to fill in my eyebrows quickly with my Kruidvat brow gel. Alright, now let's see if we can salvage this face. I'm first going into my Catrice Sun Lover bronzer, which is a glowing bronzer. And I do really like this product. I just hate the way my cheeks are darkened. I think it was the foundation, but also the powder. And of course, this is already darkened by the sunscreen. I really don't like their base products, I think. But I do like this bronzer. Look how dark my cheeks are. You can actually hardly see a difference. For transparent products, that really shouldn't be the case. But I do notice that with a lot of powders, actually. So usually this bronzer is a little bit more intense on me. I do think they have a darker shade. Gotta say, something is giving me a nice glow. Right over here. I think that has to be the primer that we put underneath. Now I do have a new blush shade, at least it says on the packaging that it's a new shade. Of course I don't know how long it's been laying there, but let's just trust the fact that it's new. It's Focus on the Good Blush Box, water and sweat proof. And I picked this up because I don't have a natural colored blush yet. I usually buy pink or peachy blushes and I wanted something that was a little bit of nude. So let's see. It's actually a little bit more pinky peachy than I thought. This kind of looks exactly like this blush when you put it on the face. I guess the colors do look kind of similar now that I think about it. I really thought this was a little bit more of a nude blush, but I guess it was still kind of peachy. I do like this. It's nice and natural. And I think you can build it up to be even more, but for me this is enough. Then this highlighter I already showed you in earlier videos. I really do like this. Look how beaming and shiny that is. God, I went overboard. Somehow all these products are not very pigmented. And then this highlighter comes in and goes like BAM! I do like it. I just forget to be careful with it. I'm just going to go over with my powder brush to blend everything together a little bit around the edges. I still like the highlighter best, I think. I was really hoping to find some new favorite products here, because my favorite base products have always been luxury or high-end, and I really want to find some drugstore gems, but I'm afraid this color just isn't right. Look how big my cheeks look now, and how dark. Nah. The product is nice. If you can find a good shade, I think you'll be happy with it. I think you'll be happy with all these things. But for me, the color just isn't right. Well, we have one last product to try. Maybe this can change the mood completely. I have this Ultimate Stay Water Fresh Lip Tint, which is supposed to be mask proof and non-transfer. And I think this is going to be a little bit like a lip stain. I kind of like this. It's translucent, but there is some pigment showing. It's a horrible combination with the eyeshadow. I don't think they had any colors that were appropriate. I gotta say, I'm looking at this eyeshadow again now that I've applied the mascara, and I actually kinda like it. And these are purples, and purples are hard to make, so they did that kinda right. And the mascara is good. I like the lip tint. It's actually more even than the Anastasia Beverly Hills tint. I hated that one. I like the highlighter. No, I don't like the primer because of that tint. And then the shade of the powder and the foundation are a little bit. And I like the blush. And of course I already like the bronzer. I don't hate the way this turned out. Now that everything is done, it looks okay. So this is my finished look using all these new products, or all these Catrice products, which some of them were new. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. I hope you can decide if these products are something for you, and if not, I warned you. So subscribe to my channel if you did enjoy this video, and I'll see you in the next one.